What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another WNBA video. We have ourselves a 4-game slate to dive into for Sunday, July 13th. So I'm going to break down and analyze each of those games. We're going to talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread. And then when it's all said and done, make sure you check down there into the pinned comment. You'll find a link down there that's going to send you over to the Guy Boston Sports website. It's where all of my final plays for these games are going to be listed for free. Now, before we dive into these games, let's go ahead and take a look back to the website. We need to recap our plays from the previous 2 days, see what we took and how that ended up going down. We'll go ahead and start off with Friday, guys, and we finished with a 4-0 sweep. Put a full unit play on the Fever on the money line, and we do end up cashing. We took the Sun and the Storm, an alternate total under 158.5. Another full unit play and another cash. Then we hit on 2 plus money player props, man. Natasha Howard over 5.5 rebounds, put a half unit on that one, and we cashed. Gabby Williams over 17.5 points plus assists. Now, this was a plus money play with the boost that we got from FanDuel. That was another cash. So 4-0 on Friday. We rolled into Saturday. We had ourselves another good day, man. 3-1 on Saturday. Alana Smith under 13.5 rebounds plus assists. We cashed on that one. And we did put a full unit on this one. The Lynx in the Sky total under 161.5. They crush it over on that one, so we don't cash there. Tiffany Hayes over 12.5 points. We do cash that plus money play right there. And we took another alternate total, this time in the Valkyries and the Aces over 152.5. We could have took that one right where the line had it at, man. But we do cash on that one, minus 136 odds. Put a half unit in on that one. They crushing over in this game. So 7-1 over the last 2 days, man. Finally getting a little bit of momentum going our way here. Now we got ourselves a nice 4-game slate to dive into, guys. So let's go ahead and keep that good momentum, that positive energy, and that winning feeling riding into this video here today. Smash that like button down there for me, guys. Hit subscribe if you have not already. Let's dive right into it, man. 4 games to go through. First game going to be tipping off at 1 p.m. We have the Dallas Wings taking on the Indiana Fever. Fever going to be laying 10.5, total sitting at 173. Now, we should be in store for our very first Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark matchup in this one. That's going to be the 5th and final game of this current homestand for Indiana. And then they're going to be out on the road for 2 more before the All-Star break after this one. They are 10-10, both straight up and against the spread. They have split on this homestand so far at 2-2. They're coming into this one off of a 17-point win over the Dream. That is a much-needed bounce-back win after dropping their previous game by 19 to the Valkyries. The Wings, they went 3-1 over a 4-game homestand, and the betting world started to fall in love with this young Dallas team, right? Not only Paige, but the likes of Isaiah James, Lee Rue, and J.J. Quinterly, they have all stepped up and into bigger roles with the injuries that began to mount for this Wings team, along with players stepping away for EuroLeague play. These Wings, man, they have played better this season at home, and they have since dropped 2 straight by double digits to begin this 3-game road trip. They are 6-15 straight up. They are 9-12 to the number. When on the road, they are just 2-9 outright, but they have fared better against the spread at 5-6. The Wings are sitting at 5th for offensive rating this year on the road, though. It's not on that end that we've seen them struggle, but on the defensive end where they sit second from last. Over their last 5 in general, they sit second to last for defensive and overall net rating. Fever haven't been the best defensively in their last 5 either, though, more middle-ish of the pack at 8. But offensively, they're coming in at second with a net rating in their last 5 that has them sitting at 4th. These two have met once this season in late June. That one resulted in a 94-86 victory for the Fever, and that did come without the services of Caitlin Clark. Now, Dallas does sit at 1st for offensive rebounds. They are 3rd overall on the glass, with the Fever coming in at just 8th for both offensive and total rebounds per game. Now, Indiana is giving up the second fewest rebounds per game, but they are just 8th in terms of offensive rebounds allowed. Now, interestingly enough, these two are tied for 1st when it comes to second chance points, and defensively both have done well in this regard. Also, Dallas giving up the 3rd fewest second chance points a game, with Indiana at the 5th fewest. The Fever are scoring the most points from the paint and the most shots from inside the restricted area this season, but Dallas does come in at 4th in terms of points allowed from the paint. The Wings do make the 3rd most shots from the mid-range, but the Fever hold opponents to the 2nd lowest shooting percentage and the fewest makes from that zone. And the Fever, even with their inconsistencies this season, have been the far superior defensive team between these two on the year. They are holding opponents to the 5th lowest shooting percentage from the field and the lowest shooting percentage from 3. But in their last 5, they have struggled with their perimeter defense. They are giving up the 3rd highest shooting percentage from the outside. I do think that that has a lot to do with the lineup shuffles in the backcourt that we've seen as of late, with Clark being in and out, Bonner being released, Ari McDonald being brought back in. There's just been a lot of shuffling around back there. So I do think that that plays into it. Dallas, however, in their last 5, man, they're even worse. They're allowing the 3rd highest shooting percentage overall from the field and the highest percentage from deep. Now, the Fever sit at 6 for three-point shooting percentage on the year, but at home they jump up to second. Then overall from the field, they're shooting at the second highest percentage this season. I think that prior win over the Dream, man, was really, really big for this Fever team. They withstood an offensive onslaught from Jordan Canada in that one. They overcame a poor shooting game from Clark, and they beat a good Atlanta team that they've had some struggles with this season so far. The Wings do have a 2-day rest advantage over the Fever, and it's not like they don't match up well with them. 10.5 feels like a lot to lay with this Fever team right now. It is a potential letdown spot, as well, looking at this after that big win over the Dream that we just talked about. So I think they get the dub here, but I'm not sure I can get there to lay double digits with them until I see them show me more on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? So I I think I'm with Dallas on this one. I would lean Dallas with the points with all of that in mind. Now the total is on the higher end in this one, up in the 170s, and it's continuing to rise still. Now here's the thing though, these two on the year haven't hit over this number at a high rate at all. The Wings are hitting under the specific line at a 57% rate. The Fever are hitting under the specific line at a 67% rate. But you look at these two head to head, they've hit to the over in 6 straight meetings, 8 of the last 10 actually, with one of those that didn't hit over landing as a push. Then you look at the last four, they've crushed the specific 172.5 line. You look at it, man, they've landed at 180 this season and then 219, 193, and 194 in their matches last year. Both these defenses have also seen their struggles as of late. Both these teams can push the pace. They really excel in transition. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a faster paced game here. Neither one of these teams is going to shy away from it. So I would lean over looking at this one. And next up, going to be looking at the Atlanta Dream taking on the New York Liberty. Liberty going to be laying 4 in this one. We got a total sitting at 166.5. Going to be a 3 p.m. tip-off time for this one. It's going to be the third meeting between these two, with each team winning a game at home so far. Both these teams have started the year red hot and have since had some ups and downs with a few injury-related issues along the way. Speaking of which, man, I'm sure how Ryan Howard returned to action their last time out and how she's not listed on the injury report coming into this one after hyperextending her knee. You know what I mean? But that's where we're at, apparently, no matter how bad that looked initially. I thought she was done for the season, man. I saw it. I saw the hyperextension on the replay. You could visually see it. You know what I mean? And then she couldn't put any pressure on it. She has to be carried off the court, and then she's back in the game later on the game. It makes no sense to me, man. You know, I'll see these ladies barely get hit, and they're out for a week. You know what I mean? And then she full on hyperextends her knee, and she's right back in the game afterwards. It's not on the injury report here, so I can't call it, man. Got a knee of rubber over there, I guess. But anyways, the Liberty are still without Jonquel Jones, and we see Isabel Harrison and Natasha Cloud on the injury report as well. Both of them are trending towards a return here, but obviously Jones is going to be out for at least a couple more weeks. I think this is going to be a tough spot for New York, man. I think that this Dream team matches up well with this Liberty team, and without Jones down there in the paint, man, they've just been a different team defensively. Over the last 5, the Liberty are giving up the most points scored from the paint, and they are allowing the third highest shooting percentage from inside that restricted area. The Dream, they're scoring the most points from the paint and hitting the second most shots from inside the restricted area and at the third highest shooting percentage. The Dream have made the third most threes on the year. The Liberty have given up the 5th most over their last 5. They are sitting at just 8th for three-point shooting percentage allowed. Now, on the year, Atlanta sits at 2nd for turnovers per game, but over their last 5, they've seen a dip here. They're sitting at 9th in that span. This is the key for Atlanta in this game, I feel like. If they stay clean with the ball here, they have a great shot at not only covering this line, but winning this one outright. Liberty, not only in their last 5, but on the year, sit at 4th for forced turnovers per game, and they're scoring the second most points off of those turnovers. Atlanta, over their last 5, sit at 7th for points allowed off of turnovers, but they are 1st for the season. And in this regard, I'd put more stock into the full sample size as opposed to just the smaller, even more recent sample size. You know what I mean? As far as, ball control and being efficient with the ball, as if not, teams are going to go through their little ruts here. And that's what I feel like this is here in this regard, man. New York does lead the league in fast break points, and they can really hurt you in transition. But the Dream, they sit at 4th defensively here. So I like looking at the Dream with the points in this one, although I wouldn't talk anyone off the money line either, man. I'm just not sure that I'm personally ready to start fading the Liberty at home quite yet. But I'm not ready to lay 4 points with them either, man, with the struggles that they've had down low. Now you got Bree Jones and Brittany Griner coming to town. And if they can get going, then you got the outside shooting that you got to contend with as well. Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, Jordan Canada, Nas Hillman's been knocking them down. So a lot of options for Atlanta. So I like leaning with the Dream on this one here. Now for the total, 10 of the 19 have hit over for New York, 12 of 20 for Atlanta. Head to head, we've seen both games hit over this year as well as 3 in a row now, including last season. Atlanta has played to the 3rd slowest tempo on the year, but sit at 5th for pace in their last 5. The Liberty lead the league for pace over the course of the season, so I'm going to lean over for this one here. In our third game on the slate, 6 p.m. tip-off time, Connecticut Sun taking on the Los Angeles Sparks. Sparks laying 11.5 in this one, total 161.5. This one's pretty interesting to me, man. We got two bottom feeders and a huge line between them, right? And it does make sense when we start looking into it. So, obviously we're going to do just that. Let's go ahead and dive into this one, man. The Sun are a league worst, 3-17 straight up. They've lost 6 of their last 7 by double digits. Now, they are 9-11 against the spread. Not great, but not horrible either. You know what I mean? Close to 500 there. The Sparks, they come into this one 6-14 straight up. They're 7-12-1 to the number. They've lost 7 of their last 10. For whatever reason, man, they have not fared well at home this season. They're coming in at just 1-8, both straight up and against the spread. Now, in their last 5, the Sparks have been more sound overall than the Sun. They have a ton of talent over there. That's not in question whatsoever, right? They're scoring the 4th most points and shooting at the 3rd highest percentage from deep, highest overall percentage from the field in their last 5. Connecticut has fared well defensively on the perimeter over their last 5 games, though, sitting at 2nd for three-point shooting percentage allowed, but even still, they're giving up the most points per game and allowing teams to shoot at the highest percentage overall from the field in this same time span. Now, offensively, they're coming in at 2nd to last for points per game. They sit at 8th for three-point shooting percentage and 2nd from last for overall shooting percentage. The Sparks are averaging the most made shots and shooting at the highest percentage a game from inside the restricted area over the last 5 games. The Sun have been giving up the most made field goals at the 2nd highest percentage from this zone. So, all in all, the numbers do say LA. Kinda all day, right? But 11.5? Man, I don't know about all that. I can't get there myself, not with this Sparks team, man. They are just 3-6 against the spread this year when made a favorite. They've covered this specific number, that 11.5, just 3 times out of 20 games this year. And looking at Connecticut as a double-digit dog, they sit at 8-5 to the number. So I'm gonna lean Connecticut, man, but I don't think that this is one that I'll play, guys. This is probably a stay away spot for me as far as the side is concerned. You look at this total, 3 of the last 5 have hit over for these two. The Sparks play to the 3rd fastest pace on the year, and although the Sun sit dead last in that regard, these are 2 of the worst defenses on the year. Actually, these are the 2 worst defenses on the year, so I'm not expecting a ton of stops or defensive pressure here in this one, so I'd lean over looking at this game. And our last game on the slate, another 6 p.m. tip-off time, Washington Mystics taking on the Seattle Storm. Storm 6-point favorites, total sitting at 159.5. This is going to be the first meeting between these two this season. Seattle's coming into this one winners of 4 of their last 6. The Mystics 5 of their last 7. And Washington is 10-10 on the year, both straight up and to the number. The Storm are 13-8, 11-10 against the spread. Washington has struggled on the road, however, going just 3-7, 5-5 to the number. The Storm at home have gone 7-3, but they sit at just 4-6 when looking at them against the spread. And when made favorites, the Storm are just 5-9 against the spread. The Mystics as dogs this season, they've gone 7-5. Now, this one looks to have the makings of a physical defensive battle, man. Neither of these teams really rely heavily on the 3. They are the 1st and 2nd teams in the W in terms of percentage of points scored from 2-point range. Seattle is converting inside that restricted area at the 2nd highest shooting percentage. They're hitting the 2nd most shots from outside the restricted area in the paint, and at the 5th highest shooting percentage. They hit the 4th most shots from the mid-range and at the 2nd highest shooting percentage. And while the Storm don't shoot a ton of threes by any means, sitting at 9th for three-pointers made, they shoot them efficiently. They're coming in at 3rd for three-point shooting percentage. Washington is scoring the 2nd most points from the paint. They're hitting the 2nd most shots from inside the restricted area, and they're doing so at the 5th highest shooting percentage. They're making the fewest above the break threes, but also, like the Storm, they're hitting them efficiently at the 3rd highest percentage in the W. But over their last 5 games, the Storm sit at just 10th for offensive rating. The Mystics sit at just 11th. Defensively, though, we see Washington coming in at 4th, Seattle sitting at 5th. So in a game like this, man, that's going to be played from the inside, it's going to be a defensive battle. I want to know who has the advantage on the glass. And that looks to be Washington, man. The Mystics sit at 5th for total rebounds per game, 6th for offensive rebounds, while the Storm come in at 2nd to last for total rebounds, dead last in terms of offensive rebounds per game. The Storm are giving up the 3rd most rebounds and sit at 9th in terms of offensive rebounds allowed per game to the opposition, while the Mystics are giving up the 2nd fewest offensive boards and the 3rd fewest total rebounds. So Seattle is also allowing the 4th most points from the paint, while the Mystics are giving up the 3rd fewest. All in all, man, despite their struggles on the road, 3 possessions is more than I would want to lay with the Storm team against this young but tough and physical Mystics team. I think they match up well with Seattle, so I'll lean Washington's way here, catching those points. They've been super inconsistent on the road, so that does make me a little bit leery, right? I'm not sure that I pull the trigger on this one, but that is definitely the way that I'm leaning, guys. Looking at the total with everything we've said already about this game, it would feel crazy to look any way but an under. You know what I mean? So I think defense reigns supreme here. Buckets are hard to come by. Like I said, it's a physical, tough, grinded out type matchup. I'm leaning under. Guys, that is going to wrap it up for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today. Hope you found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash that like button down there and hit subscribe if you have not already. I hope you guys all cash out. Hope you guys all have a great night. I'm going to see you back tomorrow for the next one.